Good evening. Once again, this is the Savvy, Sexy, Social Vlog Every Day in April Challenge. We're on day 3. Day 3 is, who was your favorite mentor? And I had to really think about this for a long time, because after 21 years in the Navy, 8-9 years of additional service after that, defense contractors, even going all the way back to high school, I had this really, Mr. Schultz, our chemistry teacher, for the longest time. I told folks he was someone who really influenced me a lot when it came to how to solve problems and how to just look at complex things and break them down. But it said favorite, and I decided that I was going to do my best to honor the integrity of the challenge. Now, will this work? Oh, I guess it won't. Alright, I just have to turn it around this way. So right here, Tim Galpin, he's now the Assistant Director for Programs at Johns Hopkins University Applied Physics Lab. Another way of putting that, he's the number 2 guy. Right. Well, he was my engineer on my first submarine, the USS Nebraska, 738 Gold. One of the things that he taught me then, I have used over and over since then, and that was, don't come to me with a problem, come to me with a solution, with an intent. So if something was broken, like I was the reactor controls assistant, so my reactor controls, my reactor operators, they were nuclear trained electronics technicians that maintained the nuclear instruments. If something had to be fixed, they would come up with a plan and tell me what needed to be done. So since I can't talk about the exact specifics, I'll just talk in general terms. So I would go to then Lieutenant Commander Galpin, we just called him Eng, and I would walk in, knock on his door, and say, "Excuse me, sir, the umpty scrat is broken, and our intent is we're going to fabricate a new flux capacitor from these 3 parts." And he would either say, "Very well, do that," or he'd ask some questions about it and say, "Well, are those 3 parts the right ones, or where does it say we can do that?" And of course, if I wasn't prepared for those answers, then I'd have to go and research and come back with them. But the key thing was, I didn't go in and say, "It's broken, what do you think we should do?" It's like, don't come to me with a question, come to me with a solution and an intended solution. I might give you additional guidance, but at least have a plan. Now, what does that mean in practice? Well, in 2006, while teaching at the Army Command and General Staff College in Fort Leavenworth, I was temporarily transferred to Fort Belvoir, Virginia, because they didn't have enough instructors there to teach, so it was for 3 months. And on Tuesdays, I didn't have anything to teach, because on Tuesdays was when they had leadership classes and history classes. So I would have just been there sitting at the computer, essentially surfing the web, right? So I went to the team leader and said, "Hey, Bill, since I'm not teaching on Tuesdays anyway, and it's already 20 minutes for me to drive down here from Springfield, I'm just going to go to the metro station. I'm going to take the train into Washington, D.C., and on Tuesdays, I will be there doing professional development activities. I'm going to go to Senate Armed Services Committee meetings. I'm going to go to congressional meetings pertinent to what we teach," because I taught strategy. And he said, "Sounds good, Bob." So for those 3 months, on Tuesdays, I was never in the office. I had a Metro Pass. I would take the Metro in to one of the many exits there on the mall, and one of the times I was in the 3rd row when 2 combatant commanders, those are the 4-star admirals or generals that are in charge of like European Command or Pacific Command, they were giving testimony to the Senate Armed Services Committee, who then at the time Senator Hillary Clinton was in the room. I was maybe, say, 20 yards away from her. The questions they were asked and the answers they gave pertained directly to the material that I taught in the classroom. So I was able to take that experience and both leverage it then in 2006 and then leverage it for 3 or 4 years following that in my other classes. Now, during the rest of the week, I'd be there, and the other instructors would say, Bob, we didn't see you on Tuesday. Where were you? I said, oh, I was in D.C. And the key thing was what they asked me. They said, well, how did you do that? And did you ask permission to do it? And I said, no, I told Bill I was going to be in the capital region on Tuesdays. This blew their mind because they were Army officers or retired Army officers, and no one had trained them. At least to the best of my knowledge, I've not ran into an Army officer that had ever repeated this back to me. The I intend to mentality. You've heard of, ask for forgiveness or beg for permission or ask for forgiveness. In the submarine force, in the Navy, it's the command by negation. I intend to do this. If you don't want me to do it, tell me not to. But I'm not going to ask you for permission. I'm going to tell you what I intend to do. And then if you don't want me to do it that way, you better be prepared to tell me not to. And I might ask why. So that's it. So the reason that Tim Galpin is my number one mentor is because he instilled in me the principle of come to me with a solution and be a master of your own destiny. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'll be doing this through the rest of the month of April, sometimes on Snapchat, sometimes here. And I'm Sub Bob everywhere. That stands for Submarine Bob if you haven't figured that out yet. And Sub Bob everywhere means Twitter, LinkedIn, Google services, you name it, I'm Sub Bob. So thank you for watching. And again, you can use the comment sections that are down here underneath this YouTube video. You can use Twitter, Snapchat, whatever, to ask those questions. And thank you for listening. Down Periscope.